You know what? I'll be honest with you, Sammy. 99 times out of 100, giving us credit for that victory in Green Bay last season, the Bears find a way to lose this game. I think especially under the previous two, maybe three regimes, the Bears don't win those games like that. That's just one. That's been one of the things about the Bears over the last number of years is that they don't win games like they were in on Sunday. It feels like, and somebody again, I will give credit for the Green Bay game, but in a lot of these contests, you'll go back and you'll look. Anytime the Bears won, it always felt like, oh, they were dominating. They won, they blew a team out, or they were winning and they held on to win or something like that. It's very rare that they go out there and went out there and finished a game or rallied to win. I think last season, too, when you think about this, obviously the game against the Commanders stands out as one of those where you're like, you know what? Caleb went out there and won a game, did not get paid off for it. Detroit, Minnesota, Green Bay the first time. Caleb has a knack for rallying the team for victories or putting them in a position to win. It has never really come to fruition outside of Week 18 at Green Bay. But now we're starting to see it in a game where the Bears were, I don't want to say outclassed, but honestly, they had no answer for Max Crosby in the early part of that game. They had no answer for Ashton Jeanty pretty much at all. Still going out and finding a way to win that game. And all the haters on Twitter can come out and be like, oh, it's the worst 2-2 team. They were lucky, blah, blah, blah. You know what? On it, fine. Okay. For as lucky as they were in week 4, they were not lucky in week 1. So what we're seeing right now is the progression of a team that went out there and was able to find a way to win a game that they probably shouldn't have won. And that's one of the things that you want to see out of the Chicago Bears. Let's break it down a little bit more. So, Sammy, let's go ahead and start the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Adam Rank.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
The sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome to Victory Monday, or perhaps depending on your time zone, it's still Victory Sunday. But the Chicago Bears are victorious in a dramatic come-from-behind victory over the Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday. This was a game that at times felt was going to end like so many games have ended over the last number of years for the Chicago Bears, on the wrong side of history, so to speak, not being able to finish a game they should have won. If you think about this, especially in the early going, the Bears were dominating this game, were getting after Geno Smith with regularity, getting after him, haranguing him, forcing him to throw interceptions, but still, time and time again, the Bears could not connect, could not make them pay in this game. You know, that game should have been like 21-0 early. But we all know, based on what happened in week 1, maybe it's not in our best interest to go out to a huge lead. Perhaps it's better if we have to scrap and fight back and fight for every point and do whatever we need to do to get back into these games. Because, again, this has been something that Caleb has shown a knack to do over the course of his career. It is not unusual for him to go back there and rally the Chicago Bears. And I know a lot of haters always love to say that a lot of his production is empty calories. Well, I don't know if that counts as empty calories. I don't know if going out there and rallying us to win a game is considered empty calories, if that counts, if that satisfies you. But the Bears found a way to be victorious in this one in a game they probably shouldn't have won. I think that's fair. The Bears absolutely, especially in the early going, did not have an answer for Max Crosby. Max Crosby had the opportunity to go out there and look like the best player in the entirety of the NFL. Like, if you were basing the NFL 100, top 100, based on what was happening in week 4, Max Crosby would have been the number 1 vote getter in a landslide. He was all over the place, even tipped up his own interception, which, again, I'm saying that's on Drew Dahlman. Like that, you guys, you got to bog. try to slow him down a little bit. And credit to Ozzie Trapillo, who came on eventually in relief. Max Crosby did not really have a huge impact in the second half of that game, especially not considering what he was able to do in the opening moments of that contest. So I thought, number one, the Bears did a really nice job of figuring out a way to slow him down. At some point, Max was content just to hang back, try to bat down some passes at the line of scrimmage. He had given up on chasing Caleb Williams a number of times, a couple of times at least. He had been caught out of position. There was a play, which I believe was on the final drive. I think it was on the final drive where it felt like DeAndre Swift had made a move, had gone around him. I think there was some sort of holding penalty. There was some sort of illegal formation. There was some sort of maybe there was something. And, it does not go against Max Crosby in that instance. But, still, they'd pushed him out wide enough to cut inside and get around him. But ultimately, they found a way. I mean, they found a way to drive down the field multiple times in the second half to go ahead and go and score enough points to win that game. And listen, I agree with a lot of people who last week were sitting here saying, like, look, Caleb Williams was able to take advantage of a Cowboys defense that has been very vulnerable to opposing quarterbacks. And as I'm talking right now, and just to pull back the curtain a little bit, as we're recording this right now, Jordan Love has thrown at least 2 touchdown passes, I think both of them to Romeo Doubs. So I understand, Russell Wilson had a huge game against the Cowboys. Caleb had a great game against the Cowboys. Jordan Love is on the cusp of having a great game against the Cowboys. I'm assuming that is going to continue and assuming he is going to go out there and destroy him. And that's fine. But here's the thing. If you go out there and win the games that you're supposed to win, that's exactly what good quarterbacks do. I remember Tom Brady a couple of years ago playing Detroit on, I believe it was a Thanksgiving, or it was a Thursday game or a Saturday game or something like that, where you're like, and I know this from a fantasy perspective. People are like, don't start Tom Brady. What happens if he ends up beating the Detroit Lions by like 60 points? Like, well, how do you think he gets there? So for me, you got to go out there and beat the good teams, or beat the matchups you're supposed to beat. When you're supposed to go out there and have a 40-point performance against a Cowboys defense, you need to go out there and do it, which he did. Now, the Raiders, statistically, coming into this contest, this seemed favorable. But still, anytime you're going up against a team that has a lot of pride, trying to salvage a home date, it's going to be a little bit more difficult than people were giving it credit for. This isn't playing Madden. This isn't being like, well, the Madden rating says there are 79. You should go out and score these amount of points. There's some prideful players out there, including Max Crosby, who are doing everything in their power to prevent Caleb Williams from going out there and having a good game. And that's exactly what the Bears did. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say, put this in the Hall of Fame. This is the greatest game I've ever seen in my life. I'm not saying that. But Caleb Williams went out there and made the plays that needed to be made. He made the decisions that needed to be made. He engineered a final drive that did not give the Raiders a ton of time. There was a significant amount of time for the Raiders to drive down and attempt a field goal. But ultimately, Caleb Williams put this team in a position to win, and that's exactly what they did. And there's going to be no apologies from me. You can sit here and say they're the worst 2-2 team you've ever seen. I don't give a great gosh dang bleep. It doesn't matter because they are 2-2. They're going into the break 2-2. And I think even the most haters of all time thought that this team was at best going to be 1-3. I think I had them at 3-1. If I know me the way that I do, I probably had us at 3-1 at this point. At worst, 2-2. So for me, going into the break at 2-2, this is better than the majority of you thought the Bears were going to be at this point of the season. You have to admit that. You have to admit you did not think the Bears would be 2-2 at this point of the season, only getting better, finding ways to win games like Sunday. That was a game that, again, 99 times out of 100, the Bears come away not winning. Matt Nagy talking about, listen, we're gonna go try to find out the whys. Matt Eberflus being like, hey, you win some, you lose some, we're improved, whatever. This was a game that so many times we've seen the Chicago Bears lose this game. and they went out there and they won it. And if you're going to sit there and watch this objectively, you have to understand that this Bears team is different. They are different. I am not saying they're a juggernaut. I'm not even saying they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs. But you have to look at this team, and I'm talking about the haters, and I'm talking about people who don't believe in them. You cannot help but be impressed. If you want to, you're being obtuse. You're being disingenuous. And I know, listen, I'm ready. I'm ready for all the Packer fans and the Lions fans. Viking fans can go crawl into a hole right now ever since they lost in Ireland. They're going to sit out there for another week, have to stew. Have to stew, pun intended, by the way. I'm encouraged about this Bears team, and I think there's a lot of good football left with this club. You know, one of the things that stood out to me is that DeAndre Swift was making big runs. Kyle Monangai, this is the thing, again, I forget who brought it up. I forget which show we brought it up. Kyle Monangai needs opportunities to be the early down back, to be the dude who wears down a defense. Like, that is a guy I would have put into a game to kind of try to run over Max Crosby. By the way, if I'm the Raiders next week, or whenever they play next, I'm like, you know what? Max Crosby's playing quarterback, and he's just going to hand the ball off to Ashton Jetty. That would be the best way for the Raiders to win games. Max Crosby handing off the ball to Ashton Jetty. But still, you know what? I look at this team. I think about Rome Odunze. Like, there was a friend of mine sitting there, and he was like, hey, you know, after Rome's second catch, he's like, he even caught a pass today. I'm like, that's his second. He's now got 2 catches for 30 yards or whatever it was. And then he catches the touchdown. I was running my mouth. As a matter of fact, if we can, Sammy, this is my tweet after the game. This is from Instagram stories, all that stuff. Can we run this? Can we run this? I will grant us the license. I am, my friend Dan is the photographer on this. Can we run this? Let's check this out real quick. So that was me at our local watering hole watching the Bears games. And of course, obviously this week with a bye, then we're on Monday Night Football. We might not be back there for a couple of weeks, but still a very fun time to be out there. And there's a couple of Raider fans who were caught on camera right there, which was pretty fun. It was a good time. Like, we really did have a good time. We had a good banter. So I was yelling at him. I literally yelled at him when Rome Odunze scored that touchdown. And I'm like, how many touchdowns? How many times has he caught the ball? Like, I was going off, and like I noticed there were some people in the bar being like, are you guys friends? Like, we're friends. We're all friends. We're all good. We're on the same page. We're having a good time. We're just having a little bit of banter. Nothing Ryder Cup level or anything like that. We're just having a banter. We're just having a go. It was a good time. We had a Bears, I was flying the Bears flag, having a great time. There were some fans in the place next door who are not as hyped with us as we were. We were out there having a good time. But I do implore anybody, you ever want to come out and watch a game with me, you know where to go in California. However, if you're in Chicago or the greater Chicagoland area, the place you need to be watching games is Twisted Shamrock, the place to be if you are a fan of Chicago sports, whether you're a fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, or Fire. You need to be watching games at Twisted Shamrock. They have monster, giant screen TVs. They have a private party room. They've got a giant TV over the bar. And, of course, the patio is still kicking at this point of the season. Again, it might not be all year. Although I will tell you, listen, Chicago is a fun sort. I think, especially some of the fall months, it's always fun to be out there on the patio. But you want to go to Twisted Shamrock. Great specials, great people, great bar staff, and, of course, the best old-fashioned this side of the Mississippi. I'm expanding it. This side of the Mississippi. We're hopeful to be out there at the Twisted Shamrock in December. We're gonna fly in on a Saturday and hang out. More details to come, hopefully soon. We are starting to finalize that. And by the way, if you haven't followed me on Twitter right now, you can find me at Adam Rank on Twitter, of course, on Facebook at Adam Rankin. Of course, if you're on Instagram, Facebook, or if you're on Instagram, or if you're on Threads, you need to start checking out Threads. We're starting to drop a lot of content on Threads. Go to at Adam Rank NFL on Threads. We'll be dropping a ton of Threads only content there on that platform. Really want to go out there and have you guys check us out there on Threads. If you have not signed up for it, if you have an Instagram account and have not signed up for Threads, I implore you, go sign up for that. We're going to have a lot of cool stuff happening on Threads. Real cool medium. It's not as nasty as some of the other social media platforms. So we're going to be hanging out there, posting a lot of Threads only content. So please be sure that you check that out. But so much great stuff. Like, I am so excited. We're going into the bye week right now, and I think that, you know, last year we had beaten Jacksonville, and we had gone into that game. We'd gone into our bye week. We came out against the Washington Commanders, and it was pretty rough. And we're going to face the Washington Commanders coming out of the bye week again. The biggest difference to me is that we got Ben Johnson. And I think today, when Ben Johnson was talking to Aditi Kinkambwala, and he was a little perturbed with her questioning at the end, heading into the second half, he's like, listen, we got this. We're going to go act. We're going to find a way to win this game, and which is exactly what they did. Really a big reason to be excited, and I could not be more thrilled with what is going on with the Chicago Bears and what's going on with Caleb Williams. I know if you started him in fantasy football, it might not have been the greatest game of the year, but still, he was fine. He was good. And by the way, speaking of fantasy football, why win your fantasy league when you can go out and rule it? We're talking about Crown Champs, baby. That's right. Go to crownchampscompany.com. Sign up right now. It is less than $2.99 per month per person, and you can win your opportunity for crowns, rings, robes, scepters, all kinds of cool stuff. Listen, so many times your fantasy football league finishes with a cheap trophy, maybe a lame little GG in a group chat. I'm telling you right now, that ain't it. Crown Champs is the way to celebrate your fantasy football championship. Show everybody that fantasy football just got royal. Don't win your fantasy league. Go out and rule it. Go to crownchampscompany.com. That's crownchampscompany.com. Use the promo code SICK15 and you will get 15% off all the merch and all the cool stuff you could want to be a fantasy football king or queen. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today on a Victory Sunday or Monday, depending on when you are listening to this. What a great day to be a fan of the Chicago Bears. So much great stuff happening right now. And also want to say give a little shout out to our friends at Huel. Listen, today I was floundering a little bit. Listen, I might have had too many slices of pizza. I don't want to go out there and eat a full meal now. So instead, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to pound this shake. When we get off the air, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to pound this shake. It's got 400 calories, 35 grams of protein, everything that you need to get yourself sorted for a big Monday. And here's the cool part about it. You don't hate yourself. So many times you'll sit there and you're like, I got a couple of calories to play with. I'll get a donut. I will feel like absolute garbage for the entirety of the day. That's why I love Huel. You go out there, you drink it, you get full, but then you realize you have not done any damage to yourself. Not like the damage the Bears did on Sunday in Las Vegas. I got to be honest with you too. I'm a little, I don't know if jealous is the right word. I was watching pictures of our friend Greg Braggs, who will be with us on Wednesday to recount everything that went down in Las Vegas. But at the same time, man, like, I was watching the photos and I was admiring everybody out there representing the Bears and their gear. I'm like, it's little rough, but you know what? Ultimately, I would rather not go to a game and have us win and celebrate at home as opposed to flying out there. I did that last year. I flew out to Arizona, and it was one of the worst experiences in my life. Although it wasn't too bad. I met some cool people out there. Actually, I met a lot of cool people out in Arizona. It really wasn't that bad. But the game was a bummer. But it was kind of cool meeting all the great Bears fans and sitting there at the Sky Harbor Airport. Sky Harbor Airport is actually incredible. Sat there, had a couple of drinks while putting together my Flex 150. It was actually not an awful time, but still, I just can't. I'm just so excited about everything that went on here today Again, a game that the Bears normally lose. 99 times out of 100, the Bears lose that game, but we go out there and win it. Now we have the next 2 weeks to go out there and think about the great times that are at our feet. Ben Johnson is going to come out with something special against that Washington Commanders team on Monday Night Football here 2 weeks from Monday. Can't wait to get back out on the field with this team. So thank you so much to everybody who joined us here. Enjoy the victory. Have a great time. And until then, bear down, and Sammy, go ahead and play us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.